Hello, this is Kevin Mullen here, and this is Kevin TV. We're preparing for a concert with the O'Rady Ensemble called Baroque Idol, where we have asked 10 young composers to submit a piece for our concert in the Glengyle studio on February the 5th. One of those composers is Rose Bolton. Hello, Rose.
Hi.
I'm very excited you're doing a piece. Let's talk about you a little bit. You're from Toronto, but you went to McGill University.
That's right.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. And you were telling me that you've had a lot of experience I know you play the fiddle, and I know you play some folk music. You played some Baroque music at Western University. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I did a lot of playing, even though the goal was to be a composer, but I did a lot of performing and playing in orchestras and things. And so I played in the early music ensemble, and Sandra Megson was the harpsichord.
Oh, yeah.
She was sort of the coach, and that was a great experience, just playing on the period instrument.
So you're making a living primarily as a composer now. Tell me about that. Clearly you get commissions, like you're writing the one for radio, but can you survive on that? How is that for a composer?
Well, to survive on commissions means you're kind of locked into the commissioning system. So I like the system, but I also like
What is that system? What is that?
Well, so say you get commissioned by an ensemble, and then you put in the funding for a grant, and then you have a grant and you write the piece. And so that's a system, but I also like to say I want to write a piano piece. I'd like to write it.
Right.
I'd like to just write the piece, and then so this is sort of an artistic freedom. So I like to do both, and then I teach a little bit, and then sort of.
You teach violin.
Yeah, I teach violin
to kids. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good in a couple of ways. I mean, first of all, it just had us a little bit of a cushion for the basics of living.
Right.
And then I also, but it's also kind of because as a composer, you work alone so much of the time.
Actually, being a musician is kind of a very solitary time for most of us. I mean, if you're an instrumentalist and you play in an orchestra, you have that sort of company. But I find also as a conductor, I have to spend a lot of time on my own. And sometimes that's hard work, isn't it?
And it's hard, and it can also be, it's actually, if you spend a day or a few hours teaching children, then it sort of just refreshes the mind, and feels very healthy, and it can be challenging, but it can be fun.
Does it sort of redefine why you're doing things when you?
Well, it actually, to me, as a composer, I really feel it's changed what I want out of music when I write it. Right. I really want it to resonate with people. That's very important to me.
Right.
And just being around people always has been, that's reminded me, and that's very rewarding. And that's an important part of the music. Say in earlier times when I spent a lot of time, maybe more time alone, then you sort of get into your own world, which is not so bad, but it's nice to have that sort of.
And you're also writing music for documentaries with your partner. That's right?
That's right. And so I'll be starting. I just did 3 over the last 3 years.
Wow.
So the first one took a long time because I was sort of getting the ropes.
Right.
And so 1 a year. So that's a decent portion of my work.
Cool.
And that's also a great experience. One of the reasons is because the music is it's subordinate, and I've discovered that I actually like writing music which supports something.
Ah, nice. Interesting. But the piece that you're writing for the O'Rady Ensemble, it's scored for oboe or recorder, but I think you just used
recorder.
You used recorder, yeah. 2 violins, viola, cello, bassoon, and harpsichord. That's right. That's the thing. So, tell me about the piece. I think you were traveling in Europe, weren't you, when you were sort of writing this piece?
Yeah, well, traveling in Europe, making some sketches, coming up with an idea, and I'd sort of put it down.
But you told me your computer broke, so you had to
That's right.
write everything down on your iPod, right?
Right, I have, like on my iPhone,
Yeah,
I
iPhone.
downloaded one of those little apps, and it's called Music Studio or something, and I just, like, if I had a melody, then there was a little piano.
Right, you wrote it in.
So that's how I did it, because it saved the day, really. My computer was.
And the name of it is The Crown of the Bell?
That's right.
So tell me about why it's called that.
Well, in one hand, I felt like I had when I was sketching for the piece, writing the piece, I was really inspired by the church bells from when I was in London and Seville in Spain.
Of course, you're going to hear more church bells in Seville than you are in Toronto, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we stayed very close to the Central Cathedral in Seville, and that has an amazing bell tower, which rings several times a day, and a really ancient. It's not that. I guess it's about 500 years old, but the bells have a very interesting quality to them.
And that is reflected in the piece that you wrote for us.
In a certain way, I wouldn't say that, like it's sort of in the piece,
Right.
and that I think because it was a Baroque ensemble that I was writing for, which is old.
I'm not old.
Well, old.
Okay, go on.
But
Yes, I
somehow
am,
writing music for the classical, in the Baroque style, which is pre-Romantic, really made me think of the continuum where you fit in history, and somehow it, in some strange way, connected to me listening to these bells and how long these bells have been ringing, and maybe a lot of the bells, say in Shoreditch Church in London, were ringing at the time that Baroque music was around, and somehow it just had a feel that when I was writing the piece, that it was very inspiring.
And is it the first time you've written for Baroque instruments?
Yes, it is. I did write another piece that there was a possibility it was either going to be modern or Baroque instruments, and it ended up being modern.
So this is the first time
really
just for Baroque instruments?
That's right, yeah.
Well, Rose, I'm very excited that you joined us today to chat on Kevin TV. I can't wait to do your piece and for the concert to happen. So just to remind you, it's at Glengyle Studio in Toronto, February the 5th at 8 p.m. and you can get tickets at the Roy Thompson box office. So thanks, Rose.
Thank you.